You have to quote, pressure is a privilege. I strongly believe in that. But also treat it like that. Yeah, there is so much pressure. Hey, that's what we're working for all those years. When we were a young kid, we dreamed of that moment. Now we are there. Love it that you feel the pressure.
If you set yourself to your present task along the path of true reason, with all determination, vigor, and goodwill, if you admit no distractions, but you keep your own divinity pure and standing strong, as if you had to surrender to it right now, if you grapple this to you, expecting nothing, shrinking nothing, but self-content, with each present action taking into accordance with nature and a heroic truthfulness in all that you say and mean, then you'll lead a good life, and nobody is able to stop you. There's a book from Marcus Aurelius. This was the former emperor of Rome, and they actually found back his diary, and they made a book out of it. So this was at some point in time one of the most powerful men, and as you can imagine, he has a lot of things to deal with and a lot of things on his mind. And here he just talks about mundane things like what he would do in the morning and small things like that. And I think for someone that has a lot going on, like you, this is a good way to see how other great leaders dealt with all that pressure and other responsibilities. So I would like to give this to you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Very wise man. I like it to hear the way he approach things. It's always very nice to share the visions of very important other persons. It's always interesting to learn. Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? We're doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. And today we're here with a new episode of The Success Show. And today we're joined by the one and only Kroon, trainer of many, many top athletes that have performed at the highest levels you can imagine, natural bodybuilder, and most importantly, founder of the House of Champions. And we're honored to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I really like it to be here. I like the concept you're working on. So I'm glad I can participate in that. And let's make a hell of a show.
Let's do it. Breathing is so... You train it also, right? Like now we see so many fighters especially, which is pretty fascinating. You see them all go to Wim Hof. They have to jump in the water. They have to do the breathing. And I think they're pretty skeptic in the beginning. Even a mental coach, they're like, if I do that, it shows I'm weak. I heard that with UFC fighter Sterling. He was on Joe Rogan podcast and he was saying, fuck no, I'm not going to take a mental coach. That will show my fighters that I'm weak. I'm not weak. I don't need a mental coach. And then Joe Rogan started explaining him why perhaps it might be good. Because like he's capable, but then here and your stress, those are other factors that come into play. Do you also work with breathing yourself?
Of course. Every day. We met Wim Hof almost 10 years ago when nobody was knowing who he was. So that was the first meeting with him and a very eye-opener. And since then I experienced a lot with his techniques, and it's a great tool, and I learn all my athletes his way of breathing, how to deal with fear, how to deal with the stress, how to build up the internal focus, the connection between the brain and the body without any talks. And after that you can start with visualization techniques. How do you want to perform? How you want to... how do you say that?
Achieve?
Doing your task. It's all about the task. So Wim Hof is a pioneer. And it's really embarrassing that till now it's still not fully accepted. It's getting popular, of course, but still there are people like the guy you're telling what's his reaction in the Joe Rogan show. Unbelievable. So if you say things like that, you don't understand how many things you have missed in your life. So since I know, weet je wel, how I can deal better with stress, life is more easier.
And like when you find yourself in a stressful situation, do those things directly kick in, like as a
Yeah.
automatic pilot now?
Yeah.
How does that look? In like
You don't see anything. I can even do it now when I'm talking with you. I can do it in the car while I'm driving. I can do it in Las Vegas T-Mobile Arena just a couple of minutes before the fight when I feel my heart beat. But I bring it down with the breathing. And if I can bring it down with the breathing, my body language is relaxed. And it's very important for my fighter because I'm his cornerman. And we are in a very stressful situation. 20,000 people are waiting. One of the two guys will be killed in the fight. So it is him or our fighter. So if I can stay in a cool way, if my fighter he look very confident, it's very important because I can bring all the stress to him, or I can take out of the stress.
yeah.
So first, weet je, when you practice the breathing techniques, I did it for. He has two techniques. The one is saturation, build up oxygen in the blood, and after that you do retention. And retention is just simple no breathing. But when you do no breathing for the first time, you panic very fast. So I panicked after 20, 30 seconds. But practicing, after 6 months, I didn't breathe for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And when it was 4 minutes and 20 minutes, I start thinking, maybe I have to breathe now. But I was still not in panic. So that proved that you can master your skills.
I have seen people get also spasm attacks after doing that. I saw a video of 3 guys that went to Wim Hof and they did the breathing and with the retention and they started completely tripping. And like, is that like their body is not ready for it, or?
If you are tripping after that kind of exercise, that's not the goal you want to reach. Fucking hell, no. You try to clear up your mind. And if you're tripping, in my opinion, you're out of control. And that's the biggest problem with when people using drugs, doing the stupid things.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to reach with that is that they're tripping. That's not the goal of the drill.
It's indication for them, right? That they have to work on a lot of things.
Of course. If I would see that, I was really in worry, really. But I cannot understand the tripping after that. How? What the fuck? But you have weird people, huh? Sometimes some people expecting that they have to trip. If you're expecting that you have to trip, I think you will trip. But never ever must be that the main reason that you're doing the drills, practice the drills. Then you don't understand it at all. Kijk, if I see the coach of the Dutch national soccer team, in my opinion, he's one of the best in the game. But the way he's talking after the games, the way he's talking in interviews, oh my God. Oh my God. What's wrong with that guy? Why? If you are that good like he is, everybody will recognize your qualities as a coach. You don't have to say that by yourself. In his last interview, he's doing like this. I did it very well. He was smiling, but he was serious. Are you serious? Is that the way you look at yourself? My gosh, stay down to earth, man. Stay humble, please. You don't need that. If you are that good, all the results will do the talk. Easy as that. But every moment, take a couple of time, stay humble. Realize that you are blessed, that you're in that position. But stay humble. It's the same when people get a lot of money, it does something in the brain. You see stuff you cannot understand. What is going on with that guy? So if I see that by other people, it worried me a lot. I never ever will be or would be or want to be like that. Never. I always say to Jordan, if you see something like that, kick me in the ass, please. And if I see something like that by you, I kick you also.
And also, it has two sides of the coin, right? Because you can be either too overconfident or you're too happy, but you can also maybe
Balance.
Yeah.
Balance, of course. I've talked about it in my last podcast. I have confidence because I know what my qualities are. But you can also be too humble. So it's all about balance. And last week, Jordan did a big interview in the Football International. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to let the people know who are really the persons behind the process on some players. Because if you don't take the credits, you will never get the credits. But it's an important part of your work you did with the person. So sometimes you need the exposure. Just tell them then the real way it was. Just tell them then the truth. And sometimes the real truth is very hard for the persons involved. Especially when somebody is working for a different organization and you are not official involved in the organization. So they hired the external specialist, and then bring them to the next level. That do something with the ego of the other persons. You understand?
I do. And are those, I figure we were talking about like clubs or certain trainers, do they take that personally?
Yeah, very personally. Because everybody has the ego. And the ego gets hurt. And when the ego gets hurt, we are in the dangerous zone. Because then people are feeling treated. They're afraid for their own job. Because they realize that somebody else is doing a better job than they do. But you can look on that on two different ways. Okay, you are a better specialist than me. Okay, that's a real challenge for me. I have to be better because he's better than me. Or I get so impressed and I'm hurt and I'm try to find a way to get you out of the business. So that are two ways. In my opinion, only one thing you have to do. Let it challenge you, man. If you are so much better than me, I'm interested in you. I want to talk with you. I want to see how you work. I want to see how you think. I want to learn from you. And it will challenge me to be the best version of myself ever. Because I'm still not on the right way. Because you passed me. So ego have two sides. You can use it or you can use it against you. Take the advantage of it. Easy like that. In my opinion. But in the reality of the world, it's not the way many people handle it.
So it's ego, and they're also and also the practical thing you mentioned, that they are just scared of losing their job. Is it that serious?
Of course. But I see it this way. My main goal was also being the best coach, trainer possible, always. If my goal is sky high like that, I have to handle like that. So in my case, every time I take 1 to 2 hours to study. And when I start working, it's also a way of improving yourself because you make flight hours. And if I couple the flight hours on the reflection process, it's making me better and better and better every hour. So it's all about the mindset you handle in the situation you are in.
With regards to like hand-on experience, I have also experienced that in the worst way, that a lot of like fancy books there, and I was reading everything.
Yeah.
But I felt productive whilst reading, because obviously I'm taking in knowledge, data, as we talked about. But what was I doing with it? I knew a lot, but I couldn't, like, okay, now it's in my head, but what was I putting into practice?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what, like, the key part that was missing there was the reflection.
Yeah.
Reflecting and then putting it into work. And that's really it's interesting to, like.
Yeah, but it's really strange that nobody educates you that you have to couple the education part on the reflection part. It's easy, weet je, to explain that, why it is so important to do that. So that are some simple things that we have to understand, that we have to teach our people, and we have to teach our kids on school, on university, have to teach them. It's not only about the knowledge. And if you cannot transfer the knowledge to the practice, you only know the data, but you know nothing. So I think that is something missing in the education system. But it's also something we can teach our children. So if we are a father or a mother, we can teach it and bring it to them, and they can bring it to the next person, and then it's going bigger and growing bigger and better, and delivering better and more educated persons the right way.
And as a father, have you tried to actively put that into the education? That
Of course. So every day is new. Every day you've never done that job before, and nobody educated you how to bring up your child. So you have to find out by yourself. But of course, I've seen the way my father and mother did it, and I've learned from it. So my father was never talking with me. I was missing the communication with my father. My father was a very silent person. The only person in the family I grew up was talking with my mother. And she was very open-minded. So that is what I learned from her. And there was something in my mind. So when I was in the position, I was the father of Jordan, the first thing I want to do is build up a band with him. I want to build up a connection, a very strongly connection with him, that he feels that he can talk about everything with his father. And if he feel there is no thing that we have to avoid in the discussion we are talking about, we can talk about everything. That's the opening of bringing all my knowledge of life experience, other knowledge to him. Because he knows and he feels that in every aspect of life, he can talk with his father. So you learn from the way you grow up in your own situation. And some things you try to do a lot better than your parents did. I don't blame them, but you see some flaws in the way they did it. But they didn't know better. So that's a very interesting part. So if we want to make a better world, we all have to start in our own circle. And we can play a big role in the development of skills. And we always are leaning on the system, but I prefer to lean on myself. It is my first responsibility. It all starts by myself. So it's easy, especially in the Netherlands, we always are very critical about the system. The system this, the system that. Education doesn't do good. The hospital doesn't do the good job. The government is making mistakes, blah, 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 blah. We blame everybody. But what's the way you look in the mirror? And more important, what are you doing with that? So development has so many aspects, so many, but also very interesting. And you're never ready with learning. Never, never. When you're ready with learning, you're dead, in my opinion. You're dead. So still now, 40 years in the business, I'm still hungry to learn, hungry to be better, hungry to challenge myself. Because that makes it really fun to do. I still love it. I still love it to do it. But I need a challenge. I need it.
I find it really interesting because some like the intuitive thought would be that at a certain point you have it's like a curve where it will go like exponential and then it will like but you're stating that there is always you can explore that and
Always.
probably it gets harder over time,
Of course.
but it's that the seek that you continuously seek for improvement.
Yep.
And also being extremely accountable is
Yeah.
what I can derive from this. I think that, and that obviously just transmits to your children when you're doing that yourself.
Yeah.
They will absorb that like a sponge.
Yeah. Yeah, because you are expecting some things from your children. But what is your example? So you say to your kid, don't do this, don't do that, but you by yourself do all that shit. So we explain it always, leading by example. I strongly believe in leading by example. So Jordan was raised. That was normal, that when you want to reach something, you have to train. If you want to stay healthy, you have to take care of your food. So even when he was a young kid and 10 years old, I always was preparing his food. I gave him protein shakes to school. After he was finished at 12, yeah, seriously. When he was 8, 9 years, I bring him with me to the gym. I show him exercising. I challenge him. And I ask him, bring some friends with you. So a couple of his friends of school or the soccer team are coming with him. We start early with the basic of strength. I challenge them. And if you are playing with the movements, it's fun for the kids. And they start to learn that it's normal to work with movement. It's important if you want to get stronger or physical fit, or if you want to develop some skills, you have to practice. And the guys were involved in soccer teams. He was playing by Sparta Rotterdam. He tried to be a pro soccer player. So you have to develop yourself. And I help them and I show them the way. And of course, the coach and the trainer inside Father Hans bring him the lessons of how important is going to bed on the right time, eating the right foods. If you're missing something in your development, you have to find something of somebody who can help you to develop them. And that's the leading example role as a father for me, to show him the right way, to show him the right direction. If you want to go that way, okay, we go that way. We need that and that on the way. I give you some tools in your box and you can use it and to reach the goals. And after every soccer game, when we're driving back in the car, we're talking about the game. Ask him simple questions. What was your feeling? What was going good? First question was always, what was going good? Always, if you do something good, you can build on that. And was there something that you can do better? Okay, for the next time we pick one aspect of that and we try to put it in the game. So that's also leading by example. I show him a way how you can look to the process.
And if I hear correctly, it's also like a small step approach. You're not, when you're in the car with him, you're not mentioning all the mistakes he made.
No, of course not. Of course not. I always see it when you are with me. The first question I ask is, what are your qualities? What is your strength? So use and call me 5 aspects of your strength and show me 1 or 2 of your weakness. It's always the strength is here and the weakness is here. And why? Why do you think I approach it that way? What you talked about?
My sister is a school psychologist.
Okay.
And I did this with her, and she had it's the exact same thing, but she's doing it with children, so she uses something so that they can see it. Mm-hmm. It's like a green pizza.
Yeah.
And then like they do the good and the bad as well. And I feel like at home, for some children, like it's they just hear the red, everything that's bad.
Yeah.
And the good things, everyone has qualities.
Yeah.
It just gets put so far away that they forget and they just focus on those things.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, like when you start betting on your strengths, then you can you get more confident and you will see that, okay, I can improve also.
Yeah.
So I think that's...
Yeah, but also when you... if you focus on the qualities, you can build them up to extremely good. But a very good example, if you have Lionel Messi, he's doing everything with his left leg. If he was a young kid and everybody was only talking about his right one, the right one is bad, you have to bring up the right one, blah, blah, blah. Would he be that good as the best soccer player of the world? What do you think? No, because he only focused on the weak part of his development. No, first start with focus on the strong parts. That's the foundation of your performance. That's the foundation of your gifts. That's the foundation of your genetics. That's the foundation of your qualities. So build up on that. Of course, is it important to do some small things with the right one? Yeah. In some situations, you have no choice. So you have to deal that you can also have some skills with the right one. But if you see it on a scale from 1 to 10, 8 to 9, you're spending on the qualities of the basics, and maybe 1 to 2 parts you spend on the faults or on the missing links. And sometimes, and that's the quality of a really good coach, sometimes is a weakness not really a weakness, but it never had getting the right intention or the right tools to develop them. Sometimes you need the right person in your life who can show you the way how you can improve it. And sometimes you have to make a real process to find the right person for you. It's all about the right person on the right moment in your life. That is a very important part of you can reach your goal or not. So if you only staying in this apartment and you really think that you can find every aspect you need for your fully development, hey, wake up, guy. It doesn't work that way. If you want to find out what your potential is, if you want to grow to the top of your possibilities, you have to fly out. You have to really start searching to meet the right persons. The right person doesn't come to you. You have to come to the right person. So you are the person who have to take the direction of the process. And also, don't be afraid to ask. Ask different persons. And different persons means that different persons with different knowledge, with different experience, with different eyes, look on a different way to you. And that can give you a very important information. What is the right direction to go? And with who? So I always talk a lot about make the dream team around you. The right persons who are part of the team necessary to reaching your goals.
Do you, with regards to the dream team, do you believe, like there's a very famous statement, I'm sure that you know it, is that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with? Like, do you agree with that?
Say that again?
You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. So every person has an inner circle, and the inner circle are the people are most closely to you. And of course, they have a big influence on your development and a big influence on the way you are doing. So if you stay only in that circle, then you know the outcome. So if you want to change something, you have to put in new members in the team. And I think one of the biggest mistake is it's really if you have always the same people around you, that's really in the comfort. Because they respect you a lot, they trust you, they're giving you all the loyalty necessary, but it's still comfort. And the big question is, will they give you the most honestly feedback ever? Every moment of the aspect, of every moment of the process. That's the question. So if I think you're a really nice person and I love you the way you are, but I see you doing something really stupid, sometimes it's hard for people to tell them the truth. And people are always afraid to going in the directly confrontation. But for me, confrontation is everything. And if you are staying in the same circle, I think always there will develop some blind spot. I think it's dangerous.
They call it tough love, right?
Yep.
Is that also something that you implemented in raising Jordan?
Yeah. It's not easy, but
I can imagine, because it's your child, it's your most prized possession.
yeah.
I'm always really fascinated about fatherhood, because like when you love someone so much, sometimes they like you need to give them that kick, so
Yep.
that they realize that they have to do. Can you go in detail how, like, for example, you had to do that? If you see that someone around you like fucks up or makes like a mistake, like what is the best way to address that so that they see that they made that?
I'm a very straight person. I'm very directly. So my way of being directly is my strong point, but also it can be my weakness because not everybody can handle that. And when people treat me very directly, I appreciate it very much. I like it. Just say it the way you ask. Don't use unnecessary a lot of words. Say what you mean. But one important rule: it's always focused on improvement. I never say something confrontation to you to hurt you. It's always very clear that my intention is very pure. So if I know that your intention is very pure, I can take that always. So by all my athletes in my raising up Jordan, I always was very directly, but honestly and with the right intention. And when people know that you are pure, that your intention is good, that you really are the person what do everything to bring them to the next level, they accept it. But you have to explain it. So in the beginning of my career as a trainer, I didn't talk a lot. I just would talk by myself. They have to do what I have to say to them, my way or the highway. I hated to have a long conversations. But I also did a reflection on the experience, and I saw that many athletes couldn't handle the way that I treat them. And also the raising up of Jordan, but also a lot of conversations with Jordan, did also bring to me some insights that I was missing. Yeah, it was also for me that he educated me that I have to look at on another way, that I have to improve myself, that I have to explain better the reason why I'm acting like that, or not acting, but do it the way I do it, so that they better can understand the reason why I do it that way. Especially in this time, it's a different time. So you have to treat the people another way than in the past. Times are changing, so also as a coach, you have to change. What was good has to stay good, but what you can improve, you improve. You are expecting that from your athletes, so you have to show it also by yourself. But still, the base of coaching for me is being very directly, very. But my main goal, and that's with everything I say to you, you always think by yourself, he's trying to help me. So that's the way you have to deal with it. And if you can accept it like that, then it's not that difficult.
To build up that bond for someone to know that you have good intentions.
Yeah.
Is that just a feeling or a vibe that they get from you, or
You starting to get in a relation. So if start to work with you, we are starting a relation. I have to know you, you have to know me. I have to explain the way it works with me, you have to explain the way it works with you. So the first thing I try to do is make a profile of you. What's the best way of coaching him? What's the best way of communication with him? What's the best way of training you? What is your strength? What is your weakness? So the analyze of the person to make a complete profile is the basics of the process. And it takes time. It takes time. So every time you came in, I start again with observation, screening, anticipation, communication. And it's repeating in the cycle again and again and again and again. And we have to bring the best in both of us. You have to bring up the best in me. I have to bring up the best in you. And if we have the right chemical reaction together, then we can grow. I have not the illusion that I can help everybody. Never. Sometimes you don't feel it. So when I start with somebody, I give, okay, we take a couple of weeks to know each other well. And after a couple of weeks, you give me the feedback. Or I am the right person for you, and opposite. Sometimes after one training, I don't feel it. Okay, it doesn't work. That's my opinion. So in love, we say love on the first sight. In our work, it's the same. But sometimes you take a little longer to learn the person better. So in my judgment in the past, I was very fast. After 1 hour, say yes or no. But I've learned. I look at a little bit differently right now. And I take more time to learn the person.
And like I can imagine, like a training when you're, because it's something hard. When you do hard things together,
Yeah.
that's a really good way of bonding, right?
Yeah, the best. I compare it to a war. If you're together in a war,
Yeah.
then you know the real deal. If we are on a bounty island, hey, everybody can be pleasure around you. Everybody is happy, but in a really stressful situation, in the deepest situation, and that's the reason why we're going deep. If we're sitting in the sea and it is extremely cold, and we have to stay there for 50 minutes, then you know who is the person in my team I can count on in every aspect of the fight. Who is panic, who stay calm, who start to helping, who start to fight, who start to flight. It's a very learning moment that you see who are in your team and what are they doing under extremely stress situation. And I love that. So we create a lot of that kind of moments. Every training is extremely stressful because I want to practice them how to act in the war. Just doing what you have to do to survive. To be the survivor. So only the best will survive if we have to go to the top of the bill. And going to the top, everybody has a top. Your top is maybe a national level. For him, it's maybe world championship level. For the other person, European level. Everybody can reach his own potential, his own championship. So you can be a champion by yourself. And it's my interesting. It doesn't really challenge me to go on that experience together.
You mentioned strengths and like the betting on the strengths, and that can bring you to those level. For example, like national or like a world champion. Have you had certain athletes that you've worked with in the past that and they had just very clear strengths, and that was just the thing that you focused on with them?
No, I always try to what's the main goal and what is necessary to reach the main goal. And you analyze on that aspect, only on that. Okay, what do we have on board and what are we missing? What can we develop till exceptional and what are some weakness we have to bring up to standard level? So it is every moment of the process you're analyzing. What's going good? What has to go better? What do we have to give more attention? What we have to do we have to give less attention? It all depends on the moment, but most importantly, it depends on the main goal. So you have the main goal, and during the process, you make some small goals. And if you reach one small goal, we go to the next one. But sometimes people try to reach 10 different goals in one moment. That's impossible. Just focus one or two aspects. And take your time to build the strongest foundation possible. And keep it simple. Keep it as simple as possible. Use the whole time common sense. So you can have all the knowledge of the world, but if you're missing the common sense, you're missing the whole point. So we talked about it before. Keep it as simple as possible. Try to bring the basics to a sky high level. And if you want to bring it to a sky high level, you have to work on it every day of the week. It takes time. And sometimes people, they treat it like rocket science. And they don't understand the basics. So if you want to bring your knowledge to your athlete and you're expecting that he truly understand what you mean and he want to master the skills you are training him, you have to bring it as simple as possible. But if you can do that day in, day out, it go to extremely level. And you can deliver it under every circumstances. Very stressful circumstances. And if you can bring the basics on an exceptional level, on the extremely condition, then we are in an interesting zone, because that's the start of really big performances. So you have to learn how to deal with the stress, to focus on the job, on all the circumstances you can bring in or you are getting in. And to master that skills, you have to practice mental skills in combination with physical skills every day. It's never separating, in my opinion. It's always the combination of the two worlds. And we need a box for that. You have the toolbox, you have the tools in. You have to know on what moment which tool I have to pick out of my box to helping me reaching my goals. And that's endless interesting process. Never stop learning process. Very fascinating process. That's what I love about it. So you have to quote, pressure is a privilege. I strongly believe in that. But also treat it like that. Yeah, there is so much pressure. Hey, that's what we want. That's what we're working for all those years. That's what we're dreaming. When we were a young kid, we dreamed of that moment. Now we are there. receive it like that. Love it that you feel the pressure. But most important, what are you doing with the pressure? But you have all the skills in the box already, and you know how you have to deal with it. But talk about it. Talk about your internal feelings, what's going on into your mind. Sometimes the fighter before the fight tells me he's very scared. He's very scared. He's scared for the opponent. He's scared for the situation. He's scared for the situation. He's scared for the pressure. Okay. If he shares his thoughts with me, if he shares his fear with me, I can feel what he's dealing with, and I help him. So we start with our breathing exercises to bring up the internal focus to the next level. After that, we do some visualization techniques, and he is back in the flow. And at endly, you want that he, when he's stepping in the cage, or when he's stepping in the ring, or when he's stepping on the field, he can go with the flow. There is no thinking. He just focus on the job. And he's practicing what he did all those years in the training. So it's all about task, task, task. Do it as good as possible. Just use the qualities you have on board.
That flow state is something that also in research they have talked so much about it. Not to make it too complicated, but like you mentioned breathing and visualization.
Mm-hmm.
How does that go? I'm really interested in how that works in order to get in that flow state, because it applies for everything in life, right? Before you do a podcast, before you go to train, you have to get in that state for your mind to be completely empty and you can focus on the task. What are the ways in practice that you get to that flow state?
Yeah, first you have to understand what the real meaning is of focus. So in my vision, there are two kinds of focus: the internal and the external focus. The internal focus is the connection between the brain and the body. Between that, you have your fears, you have your thoughts. So I see that as ballast, because that is disturbing the connection between this and that. How we can clean that up? By breathing. So if we do a very intense breathing techniques like the Wim Hof method, you have to do it the right way, or you can only do it the right way if you are really focused on the way you have to do it. So it's a situation you have to bring yourself that you can only work with building up the connection between this and that. So there is some saturation technique, there is some retention technique, and especially the retention technique, you only can do it well when you have built up the saturation, and saturation is oxygen in the system. So with very deep breathing, very intensely, 30 times, you build up the oxygen. The body start to tintling. That's a sign you're doing it very good. After that, you breathe very deeply in. You go completely out. And you stop breathing. So the first reaction will be panic. But you feel the tintling of the body. In your imagination, you start thinking there are floating around bubbles with oxygen. And you simply use them. Use them. Maybe the first time you do it for 20, 30, 40 seconds, and then you feel you have to breathe. You breathe. And you start again with the 30, very intense, in, out. And the whole protocol, you do it 3 times. And every time, especially in the third session and the second and the third session, you are going deeper and deeper in the system. It's easier to do it longer. And especially after the third one, when you open your eyes and start breathing again, you feel up that your mind is cleared up. So that's the beginning of internal focus. So we build up a clear up system. All the talks and fear are gone for a couple of time. The internal focus is built up. And then we start with visualization of the text, of the task. And the task is the external focus. The external focus is if you are a soccer player, you have some qualities, technical, tactical, physical, mental. So you know your own strength that you have to bring on the field. So you know Sunday we are playing against Ajax. We playing in the final stadium. So we know the circumstances, we know the audience, we know the energy of the audience. We know the opponent, we know the system of the opponent. So in the visualization, you can use all the aspects of that. And that process, this is an example, are you repeating the days before the game? So the example of the fighter, he knows 8, 12, 16 weeks before you have to fight some kind of opponent. He know we have to fight in the Las Vegas T-Mobile Arena. We know the circumstances over there. We know the way the stadium is looking inside. We know the atmosphere. We know the opponent. We know our own game plan. We have to analyze. We have analyzed the opponent. So you bring all the aspects together in the visualization process. And you only can get good in that and useful when you practice it every day. So it's a kind of training. If I explain it the way I did, is it clear for you what I mean?
It is.
So internal focus with the breathing, visualization as realistic as possible. All about task. And then every training, we are training the whole game together. So every physical training is not a physical training just by itself. No, it's the total package. So if we want to master the skills necessary to perform on the highest level, we have to practice all the aspects of it. So every day you can train internal focus, visualization, external focus. In the training and in the games. So if you do that day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, you're getting better, better, and better. And every time it's you are making the experience, you take at the end of the day some moment of reflection, looking back at the day, what was going good, what have we to do better, what's the way we have to do it better, and then it's improving. Is a line like this going up, up, up? No, man. It's going up. Sometimes you go flat. Sometimes you have to think that you're falling down. You can get an injury. You can get some private problems. You can get in a fight with your girlfriend. You can all the things, all the aspects of life are coming your way. It's never a perfect world. It's a world full of errors, faults, frustration. But I call it the 3 R's: reset, refocus, restart. But it takes me a couple of seconds to say it. But in your mind, it has to go as fast as possible. So there is some error moment in your life, or there is some error moment in the training, or there is some error moment in the game. reset, refocus, restart. So if you want to master that skills of resetting, refocus, restart, you have to practice every day. But if you can learn that, you can, nobody is playing the perfect game. There are always some errors in the game. There are always some faults in the games. Or the opponent is doing something. You had plan E. Plan E didn't work. You have to go to plan B. And you have to also have plan C. So if we are able to make the right adjustment on the right time when it's necessary, then we are really on the right way. Yes, sometimes a coach have explained you a game plan, but the game plan doesn't work. What are you doing? Still doing the plan what was working? Or are you making the necessary adjustment? It's all about making the adjustment. But to be capable of making the right adjustments, you need a lot of practice. So my task as a coach is not always give you the solution. Especially, I give you a situation you're not prepared for. So I can see what you're doing on the situation you're not prepared for. Okay, what's your solution? Can you find the solution, or do you panic? Are you going the frustration of the fault or the error? Or do you make the reset, refocus, restart, and start going to plan B by yourself? If you're doing it that way, I'm the most thankful coach. Then I did my job very well. So if coaching for me is if you can go in the fight and I can stay still, I don't have to say a lot. I prepared you very well. But not the reality. And we talked about the UFC, and you see some coaches do the 5 minutes of the round yelling like crazy. The whole time, crazy yelling. Are you helping your fighter? Or give him a lot of shit stress? You're not helping your fighter. You are a very bad coach, in my opinion. You have to look to yourself like a crazy guy. Completely out of control. In his own stress moment. You cannot deal with the stress. You're not helping your fighter. It's not about you. It's about what's the best way to help my fighter in the game. So if we expecting that the fighter is delivering the right aspects in the moment we are asking, it all also start by ourselves. How are you looking to yourself? Do you look back at the way you coach and treat your athlete? So that is still something that can bring us to the next level. But I see by a lot of teams, crazy the way they treat it. Not professional at all. En still, weet je wel, about it's all about how do you look to the process? Do you look to the total aspect of all the members, especially yourself? Or do you only finger point to the other person?
I think a few aspects come into play, because what I would say the first thing is that they stopped being in the position of a student. Mm-hmm. They stopped learning themselves.
Yeah.
And by this is a very dangerous position, because then they feel like they are only giving. But if I hear this, I think it will even be a great concept to train the trainers.
Train the trainers. I strongly believe in that.
Have you ever had trainers that came to you?
Yeah, of course. But what they're trying to do is copy. And that doesn't learn you anything. So I had to train the trainers. I strongly believe in that if you treat it like the right way. But if you only coming to the House of Champions to copy what we are doing, you don't learn anything about it. Stay away. Don't waste our time. Don't waste your own time. Because when I'm training you, you have to know all the aspect behind you. You have to know every goal we are try to reach with you. And it's not about the exercise. It's not about the rep range. It's not about the sets. No. What's the goal of the tool we are using on that right specific moment? That's what's most important. What's the reason why I choose this or that? What's the reason I'm coaching you the way I do? So I see it the same when we have a team around the fighter. We can also train the trainers, but are you open for it? That's the most important question. And I work with a lot of guys, and mostly men. And a man has a big ego, especially in the fighting game. The man has the produce of testosterone. He think he is the biggest guy on the earth. He think he has all the knowledge. So what I'm missing by a lot of people is a kind of being humble. But also the nice way you explain it, you're still the student, man. Even after my 40 years of experience, I'm still the student. I'm still hungry to improve myself. And if I can learn something from you, even if you are half of my age, it doesn't matter. I learn from you. If you can explain something you see in the way I work, I see something, why are you doing it that way? And I cannot explain it very well to you. Okay, make me thinking. And if I can learn from that, I will appreciate it a lot. But that takes some kind of a growing mindset. So in a really dream team, it must be normal train the trainers. We train each other to be the best version of itself. And if we can create an atmosphere like that, then we can go to really next level. But now when I see too many times the opposite in the practice, in the real world. And that's something I don't understand. So if we have one fighter and I'm the strength and conditioning coach, and the otherwise we have the stand-up coach, it's not important if we bring in the 80 and I'm the 20. On some moments in the progress, he will bring 100 and nothing. No problem for my ego. On other moments in the process, I will bring in 75 and he only 25. It doesn't matter. If the person improves, that's the only thing that counts. And that's something I'm missing in the fighting game. The coach is thinking that he is the most important person in the world. No, the fighter is the most important person in the world. We need each other. We are the team. We have to do it together. It's not about our ego. Go your ego outside, please. It's about the performance of the athlete. He has to trust us. He has to know that we have no ego in that. Your ego have two sides. You can use the ego the good way or the bad way. The good way is only when you use it to bring the best out of your athlete. And it sounds so simple. It sounds so common sense. But now the real world, you see so many times the opposite. So that's something I want to work on that. I make a lot of conversations about that. I confrontate other coaches also with that. But for some of them, it's very hard to accept it.
Has that to do with the younger generation also?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't like it to think that way. I only look, you are a kind of personality. It doesn't matter for me what's your age. All what counts for me is what kind of person are you. Some coaches of 50-year-old are very humble and have a very great learning mindset. And some coaches of 23 have nothing at all. So it's not depending on the age. It's depending on the kind of development. So there is something missing in the reflection process, I think. But if you couple the experience on the reflection every day in your life, you always make the right improvements. It's just logical. It's just the way it goes.
Have you ever had any experiences like that where you have learned something from one of your fighters that you remember, like something that was like mind-blowing? For example, during a training or during a fight where you were like, oh, I really learned something from that?
Yeah, of course. So many examples. But for me, I'm a 100% guy. For me, it's control everything you can control. The line between discipline and obsession is a very close line. Very close line. So sometimes maybe I'm too obsessed with that. In my opinion, not. But sometimes I saw. I was with a baseball player who was playing in the major league by the Washington Nationals. Sky high level. It's a dream come true to play over there. They're playing every night. Playing in a season 180 games. So the pressure is always there. So when they play home games, they play against the same opponent 5-6 times in a row. And every night they have to deliver. There is an audience of 50,000 people. There are many, many players in the team. If you don't perform well, next. So there is pressure every day. And I was sleeping with the guy in the apartment. So I watched every night his games, and he was delivering unbelievable, stable every night. And I was seeing the way he was treating the pressure. I saw no pressure at all. It's just he was from Curacao. He was just like he was on the island, you know, Bombini Island. He had the same smile he has on the island. He has the same smile on the field. So that made me thinking that, and I asked him, don't you feel the pressure? I said, I love the game. I love to play. It's like playing on Curacao on the island. When I was growing up as a kid, I was playing with my friends on the beach. We make the ball by ourselves. Wood, we use it as a bat. And I was just swinging my stuff. And I see it the same way. I still love to play the game. So every night I'm looking forward to play again. It was like playing, not more than that. And I really like that approach. I always explain it to the soccer player. You're playing a game. You're playing a game. You look on the streets. The kids love to play the game. You're playing a game. You're good in it, and you make money with it. And you can play for a big audience. So you are blessed. So if you treated the pressure that way, look like, hey, I have the privilege to play for a big audience, a game I love, a game I'm good in, why do I stress out? And when the game was finished and he was going back to home, he didn't talk anymore about the game. It was just, he had done his job, and he was all completely relaxed. But me, as a coach, I'm 24 hours in the process. Always think about what can we improve, what we can do tomorrow, what we do next week. You always in the process. So when I saw the way he treated, okay, there was some learning lessons to approach it a little bit different. And especially I like the way he approached it with the playing part. And if you can stay even on the highest standard as the young kid with no fears, no talks, no negative talks, not high pressure, then you are on the right way. Sometimes you heard a great athlete talking that he doesn't love his sport anymore. It's just business for him. Fuck off, man. You're losing your love. Never lose the love for the game. Never, never, ever lose that little kid inside you. Protect it with everything you have, weet je wel. Realize every day a moment that you are blessed, that you can do what you do. There's a different approach. So that's something I learned.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And that relates back to my parents always told me, do something you love. Do you believe that's the right approach to find your career path?
Yeah.
Because I read a book from Robert Greene where they went into detail, where they would be like, okay, do something what you love, but what? Like what do you love? And they said, look back to when you were a child. Because when you're a child, you don't have much like limiting beliefs, people around you that are giving you exterior thoughts. It's just you and what you like.
Yep.
And then the advice was, look back to what you were doing when you were a kid. Maybe you loved football or you loved playing baseball. Perhaps you should look into that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally. When I was a young kid, I was playing the whole time outside, playing soccer. So I also want to be a soccer player. I did everything for that. I love it to play soccer. I played it for 4 or 5 hours daily. And was it hard? No. It was hard to stop with it. So your mother was yelling, come, Hans, inside, we have to eat. Or, Hans, come inside, you have to sleep. But you want to play it for hours every day. So the love for soccer, the love for sports is very deep inside me. I always know for sure that I will be a pro soccer player or somebody involved in sports. 100%. At that time, they did tests at school, what direction you have to go. They put me in the direction of administration. Administration, till the day of today, I hate administration. I have my own company, and every time when I have to do it, oh no, not tomorrow. So they tested me that I have to go that direction. I told to my mother, never ever go that way. I want to be a pro soccer player. Otherwise, I go in sports. But my mother was talking, yeah, but, no but, mama, no but. I go that day, believe me. So I strongly believe as a young kid that was the right direction, because the love was very strong inside me. I feel that in every fiber of me. And I hated to learn at school. I hated. But at that time, when I get the opportunity to go to the University of Sports, from that day, I start to study crazy hard every night. We went to school at 7:30 in the morning. We finished at 6 at night. Then we go back to our room. I studied till 11 o'clock at night. Nobody have to told me you have to study. No, I did it by myself. Why? Because I was on the path that what I love. I did what I love. I did something that was my biggest dream. I was involved in sport. I was educated in sport. I was going on the way to be a professional. So it was easy to put in the working hours. It was easy to find the right drive and motivation, because I was love what I was doing. Until the day of today, I love what I'm doing. So if you are in a work situation and you do it for 40 hours a week and you hate it, what a life do you have, man? Miserable life. So please, please, please tell all your kids, but also tell to yourself. Try to find something that you really love. And everybody has a talent in his life. Try to find what your talent is. Try to find something that you will wake you up every morning easily. That when I'm at home and I'm walking to the gym and I'm wearing my shorts and wearing my t-shirt and carrying my sport bag, I'm blessed. And I have to cross a very traffic full street. I see people in the cars looking like shit, and they're going to work. And me, I'm also going to work, but with a completely different mindset than them. So I'm blessed. And that moment, that's a walk only of 3 minutes. Every day there is some few seconds that's passing my mind that I'm blessed. And with all the athletes I'm working with I tell them the same story. You're fucking blessed that you're doing what you do. And not one day in your life think it's normal. It's special. And treat it that way. And carry it that way. And the only thing I'm asking you, do everything possible to getting better, to perform and stay in the game as long as possible. And how easy is that? So the only thing I'm asking you, give everything what's inside you to getting better. Do everything to performing better. Take care of your body. This is your instrument. You have to play with that. If you treat it like shit, you perform like shit. The only thing you ask, put in the best nutrition. Give your body the right recovering and sleep. Take care of your body. Develop your mental skills. Develop your physical skills. You're blessed, man. You're on a sport you love. And when are things going more fun? When you're good in it. If you're playing a game and you're shit in it, it's not fun anymore. I don't play chess. Why? I cannot play it. They beat me up. Is it fun to be beaten up every day? No. But if you are good in tennis and you're playing excellent, that's the greatest feeling you can imagine. And that's your profession? And the only thing I'm asking you, do everything you can do to be better. and you think that's tough? No, man, you don't know what's tough. And when I look back at my younger years, that's a really great lesson from my mother. I have to do shit jobs, really shit job. I was working in the Westland with the tomatoes. You have to go there at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was 40 degrees inside. You're sweating like a pig, and you have to work like crazy for a couple of hours, a couple of euros every hour to make some money. So every hour there, I swear to myself, never, ever in my life I will end in a place like this. It was the biggest life lesson. And now I'm doing something I really love. I'm good in it, and I'm making money with it. So, the best advice for everybody: try to find out what's your first love in life, and go for it. And it's worth every moment you invest in it. Every moment.
I think it relates back to short term and long term also, because now I think we live in a society where short term gratification is something that's overvalued. And for example, sports, I can imagine in the very beginning, it's not the easiest thing to find a career in. If you would have done finance and you got your degree, you can start working at a firm, you get paid 2,000 euros a month, and you're good. You can pay your house.
Yeah.
If you go the non-ordinary paths and you do, for example, sports, the startup time will be much longer.
Yeah.
But once you're in, like you're building something, and you already found something you love.
Yeah.
You just make it so much easier for yourself on the long term, which is something that I think is overlooked.
I agree, totally agree. Good things takes time, and you cannot rush it. You cannot do it in just a couple of months, of just in a couple of years. It takes time. Give yourself that time. Be realistic about that. I trained for 10 years with just, not disrespectful, but ordinary people, to make the flight hours, to make the experience, to go through the learning process. And then you start with the first a little bit higher athlete, and then you start. But it takes time. And in this time, we want to reach everything, and they want to do it in 1 day and 1 week. That's impossible. That's not. It's the same with the body. A body takes time to develop. It takes time to build up muscle. Especially when you do it on your own strength. But what is your talk that you have to do it fast? It doesn't go fast enough. We take drugs. Are you crazy? How do you see it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? You still on the drugs? Or do you want to stay healthy and fit and physical and mentally good looking the rest of your life? Take care of your body. Be careful with your body. Treat it with respect. And so every aspect of life, if you want to develop to some kind of degree, it takes time. And no problem with that. You're still in the game and you're still making the progress. Only it takes years to grow, and it's a never stopping process. And I really love that aspect now. When I'm looking back and still learning on the skill part, learning in the mental aspect of the sports, learning on the other skills, learning from talking with other experts. In all aspects, you can learn every day. So why do you have to be in a hurry? You want to be on this earth as long as possible. And if you can challenge yourself every day in all aspects of life, then you have a great life. But I think that the social media has a big role in that, the negative role, because people are looking too much to other people. They don't know the story behind it, the real story.
Where do you think that the responsibility lies? Is that the people that are, because like you go on some accounts and you have really unrealistic views.
Yeah.
We can refer to fitness people that are, for example, taking steroids and they look amazing.
Yeah.
But have they really done the work?
You don't know.
Don't know.
So don't look too much to other people, look to yourself. The biggest competition is the person you're looking in the mirror. And of course you can learn from other people, but still using the common sense. Do I need examples? I don't need example. I want to be my own example.
I'm the most brutal and efficient and most ruthless champion there's ever been.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! You should be a monster.